day. This hashtag Salaamedia highlights. The time is 7 minutes past 3 in a bit. We'll be speaking to one of our own, El-Hajj Mauri Saalakhan, out in Washington, D.C. He's a human rights advocate and director of operations for the Aafia Foundation, Inc. And we'll be delving into a very, very intriguing and pivotal upcoming U.S. presidential election topic. I think we all saw the news that President Joe Biden has stepped aside as a presidential candidate, and Vice President Kamala Harris is now the Democratic frontrunner and is endorsed by Biden himself. Harris, already a historic figure as a first black and female vice president, now faces the formidable challenge of running against former President Donald Trump. Her candidacy brings a mix of hope and also a lot of skepticism as she hopes to build on Biden's policies while carving out her own distinct path. And we'll be discussing her positions on key issues like international relations, immigration, and the economy, and what her candidacy means for different voting demographics out in the USA. And joining us via StreamYard is El-Hajj Mauri Saalakhan, Salaamedia presenter, Metro, Washington, D.C. based human rights advocate and director of operations for the Aafia Foundation, Inc. Brother Mauri, thank you so much for giving us your time. Welcome to Salaamedia.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be on the other side of a discussion over this platform. Alhamdulillah.
Definitely. I think to kick things off, as someone that's deeply involved in, human rights and international relations, how do you view Kamala Harris' transition from vice president to presidential candidate? From what you know from her, is it a figure that people can endorse? Is it someone that needs to be taken with a pinch of salt with whatever that she says? If you could just break it down for us, for our South African viewers and for all those around the world who just got the news that she's potentially might be America's new president.
Well, let me begin by saying, politics is a very strange and challenging art, as we all know, politics globally. Kamala Harris has her supporters and she has her detractors. She came into the office of the vice presidency as a historical figure, the first woman to hold that position, and now she appears to be poised to take another step. Certainly to be in a position to take another step toward history making again. My understanding is that she has enough delegates right now, pledged delegates, to take her over the finish line to become the next contender on the Democratic side for that office. And if she does, in fact, officially become the representative for the Democratic Party, that will be another piece of history that she has been able to achieve. With that being said, again, she comes into this high historic making position with detractors and supporters. I mean, she was a former district attorney. She was a prosecutor, a district attorney. She has a record that, many within the African American community and other marginalized communities have been critical of. But on the other side, her defenders have made the argument that she had to operate within a system that, she had nothing to do with constructing. She had to operate within that system, and she did the best that she possibly could in pushing back on the the injustices that are embedded within the quote unquote criminal justice system. So, again, we have this ongoing debate, and this debate is going to become even more intense as she moves further toward making history again. Now, with that being said, I'm on the side of giving Kamala Harris the benefit of the doubt. And the reason being is twofold. Number one, my position for months now as a human rights advocate, as someone whose heart has been shredded over what the world has witnessed in Gaza, particularly. But, for those of us who have been following this horrific saga of taking place in occupied Palestine are aware it's not just Gaza. Gaza has justifiably, understandably been receiving the lion's share of attention because there is a genocide that has been taking place before the eyes of the world. But as quiet as it's kept, there is also horrific ethnic cleansing taking place on the West Bank. Now, against this backdrop, we have a woman, a political figure who is highly intelligent and very much attuned to what is taking place, and no doubt what the history of that now over 7-decade conflict is really all about. Again, she is poised to take to assume a historic position where she's going to be in a position to be able to chart a different course than her predecessors have with respect to the apartheid state of Israel. Now, our position has been for months, hashtag no Biden, no Trump. We have been animately against any votes from the Muslim community, any votes from the progressive community, any votes from any community or any bloc that is truly justice oriented, going toward Biden's re-election campaign or the campaign of Donald Trump to reassume the office of the presidency. Our position has been for months: no Biden, no Trump. Now,
I want to sorry to interject there, Brother Mauri. I want to come back to focusing on Middle East, particularly Gaza. You mentioned that for human rights, I think all across the world, there's been really big criticism on Joe Biden and Donald Trump on their stance and the rhetoric when it comes to Palestine and Gaza. But then you have Kamala Harris, who herself has shown strong support for Israel, although she has expressed empathy for Palestinians, but she has been very unequivocal when it comes to her support for Israel. Isn't there feeling of it's going to be more or less the same? You mentioned that the rhetoric has been no vote for Trump, no vote for Biden, but do you see Kamala Harris as being any different from those two when it comes to her approach to Gaza?
I choose to be optimistic. I believe there's a very strong possibility that there will be a different approach. And one indication of that is the fact that Prime Minister Netanyahu is right now in the United States. My understanding is that he arrived yesterday. He has been once again, this war criminal has been once again invited to address a joint session of Congress, which he is expected to do tomorrow. I've heard the reports that uncharacteristically, the vice president will not be in the well of Congress tomorrow to observe his address. She will be in another part of the country. This is uncharacteristic to the usual protocol when a foreign visitor comes and receives a honor of this nature. So the combination of, again, the combination of number one, the fact that Joe Biden was forced to make the decision that he will not run for re-election. He was forced to do this. And the reason why he was forced to do this is because of the massive and unsustained pushback that has come from within the public square. I really want to salute especially the young Americans and others, the students, the young students in this country that have been responsible for the encampments, that have been responsible for the massive demonstrations, as well as other groups. I want to applaud them because this is the reason why Biden is not running for re-election. He was forced to make this decision because of the pushback. So with that being said, you know, all of the politicians are well aware of what the climate is like right now in the United States. And my feeling is the combination of the political climate being as it is, coupled with this being an intelligent woman who has been able to see, to witness, just like everyone else, the genocide in real time, that this has moved her to sufficiently to take a much different position on apartheid Israel, Zionists, on its lobby operating within the United States than the position that she has had up until now. I'm optimistic.
Let me maybe just shift the focus now to Kamala Harris, domestic policy and some of the challenges that she might face in that regard. If you can just maybe briefly give me a sense amongst the African American community. I think, every time there's a person of color, that's in a position that Kamala Harris is in, there's almost a natural instinct for African Americans to go out and show their support because of the belief that that person will work for the African American community, which is largely still marginalized in the USA. What are Black people feeling when it comes to Kamala Harris? Are they optimistic of her? Are they supporting her? What's the general consensus amongst the African American population?
Brother, that is a very good question. What is the general consensus? I just watched yesterday. In fact, yesterday I received a link to a watch party that took place. A watch party for the recent debate between Biden and Trump. Now, during the course of this watch party, there were points where those who were gathered and the folks who were there, these were, a large group, a sizable group of influential African Americans from, the media, from academia, and activists. I mean, they were gathered together under in the company of the host, Roland Martin. And so they watched the debate. There were interludes of discussion, commentary, and this went on for about 5 hours. I mean, after the debate ended, of course, it went on for another 2 hours with them engaging in cross-current analysis. Now, within this group of African Americans, I would say that the major thrust was in support of Kamala Harris. And I, you can find pockets of this kind of support. In fact, I would estimate, if I had to share my opinion, I would estimate that the vast majority of African Americans in the United States are in favor of Kamala Harris assuming this historic position because she is African American, and there is this, as you already pointed out, this feeling of pride, this feeling of wanting to support one of your own, So I would say that is the majority consensus. But again, there are pockets of individuals who are critical of what her position, what her legacy or political legacy has been up until now. I have been critical of what her, what I understand to have been parts of her political legacy, both as a prosecutor and and most importantly as a district attorney, as a first, I believe, African American and Indian. She has both of these heritages blended in. District attorney for Los Angeles County. But again, given where we are today and given the enormous issues at stake, and given the enormous impact that the genocide has had on the consciousness of the world, I want to give Kamala Harris the benefit of the doubt and give her an opportunity to make up for past mistakes.
I want us, to shift our focus now to the general election dynamics of the USA. Just considering, the historical context of American racism and sexism. I mean, you have now what could be someone that could possibly tick both boxes of being, a female African American president. What challenges do you see, Harris face in her bid for presidency, and how might she overcome some of these challenges to secure and ultimately, get that tag of presidency of the United States?
Well, Madam Harris is going to face enormous challenges, and no doubt. I mean, there will be those who may not be able to give her the benefit of the doubt, as Brother Saalakhan is. And there will be those, no doubt, from the Republican Party, from the MAGA side of the political spectrum, that have already begun, even though she has not been officially anointed or officially chosen to be the standard bearer for the Democratic Party and the elections that are scheduled to take place in November. They're already attacking her. These attacks are going to become even more virulent in the days ahead because she is a historic first. So it's really going to be interesting to see. But I truly, truly believe that we are in a new place and time right now politically. And I believe that Harris, if she is officially nominated to become the standard bearer for the Democratic Party, I believe she has a better chance than Trump of winning the election. And I'm hoping that I'm not being overly optimistic, and that this feeling that I have ends up being correct. Because, I believe there's no doubt in my mind that if she comes into the office of the presidency with her knowledge, her experience, her being a historic first, her being aware of some of the disappointment that was felt within large swaths of the African American community over the historic first African American presidency, Barack Obama, that she'll have a burn within her, to do as best she possibly can, and this is my hope. This is the reason for my optimism, and I'm going to pray for her, and I'm going to pray for my country, because if on the other side, if Trump wins the election, we and the global community are in for some difficult days ahead.
How difficult do you think it's going to be for Kamala Harris to, in a lot of ways, try to disassociate herself from Biden's policies and Turner? Because I think, from what I've been reading, coming out of the Make America Great Again camp, is trying to tie her as closely as possible to Biden's policies, especially when it comes to immigration and also the economy. I think it's not a secret that there's been a lot of dissatisfaction with the high food and fuel costs in America, and a lot of that is being blamed on Biden and his Turner. How difficult is it going to be for her to just deassociate herself, say, I'm my own candidate right now, I'm my own person, and try to distinguish herself and also appeal to swing voters?
It's going to be very important for her to distinguish herself from Biden and his policies. But with that being said, again, this is an intelligent woman. She's highly intelligent. She is aware of the ins and outs of policy making around the many challenging issues that our nation is facing right now, and she's also aware of the connection, that exists when it comes to these policies from one administration to the other. I mean, the economic condition that the U.S. is in right now is not something that just took place during Biden's watch. I mean, this is a condition that has been, long and many administrations, both Democrat and Republican, in the making. And, there are arguments that are going to be made by her and by many of her surrogates that, much of what we're seeing has, first of all, is part of a continuity. But secondly, that progress has been made on many of these fronts. They're going to make that argument that there has been progress made, but the progress that is able to be made, it's going to take, it takes time. I'm sure that will be the argument that they will make. And at the same time, I have no doubt that she's going to, she and her advisors are going to be poised to present a roadmap coming from her administration for, improving on these indexes that are of great concern, and justifiably so, to the American electorate. And at the same time, they're going to be pointing out, and quite justifiably, the errors, unintentional or intentional or unintentional, that were made by Trump and his administration when he held office for those 4 years that, we all hope will not be repeated.
And we are very, very close to the elections in America. Almost 4 or 5 months for the 5th of November elections. Just lastly, before I let you go, what's the general feeling amongst the populace in America? Are people looking forward to change, or is the focus largely on Donald Trump and possibly him making a return for his second stint as president? Generally, how are Americans feeling? What are the conversations on the streets?
Americans, generally speaking, are on edge, and understandably so. Right now, the atmosphere, and it's been this way for some time, the atmosphere in America is very polarized. There are supporters on the Trump side that are animated by the possibility of him being able to successfully occupy the office of the presidency again. And there are those on his side of the line that are they're preparing for a Donald Trump reassumption of the Oval Office. You know, I don't know if you've heard about this Project 2025 initiative that you know, some of his acolytes have already come up with, and you know, they're salivating at the possibility of him taking office again and them being able to implement as much of that as much of that as they possibly can. On the other side, you know, we have the anti-Trump reassuming the Oval Office part of the American electorate that are kind of sitting on pins and needles in hoping that, you know, he is not able to come back to power, because if he does, what the consequence of that will be for the nation. So, you know, again, we're in a very polarized place right now, and there's a tremendous amount of there's a big sigh of relief. Number one, that Biden is now out running. There's a big sigh of relief. There's a lot of excitement now that has been generated just over the past 24 to 48 hours since Biden made that decision on the Democratic side. And what we are now looking for is a very robust, what's going to be a robust and I believe historic setting election campaign that may rival in its intensity what took place here in the United States in 1968. Surely a lot of success.
No, definitely. And I think the whole world will be watching, but we're going to leave it there, Brother Mauri. Thank you so much for giving us the time. Really, really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Well, there you have it there. A really, really intriguing conversation with Brother El-Hajj Mauri Saalakhan about Kamala Harris, who's touted to be the next U.S. presidential candidate. You know, getting an insight on some of the key issues and where she stands on them, whether it's Gaza, immigration, you know, foreign policy, and just also internal economic policy in the United States. Be sure not to miss a conversation with El-Hajj Mauri Saalakhan this Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Central African time for more in-depth and very interesting, intriguing conversations that you want to listen to. But from myself, Salaamedia, and the rest of the team, it's goodbye for now. Assalamu alaikum.